The memory of Jared Orchan. Rosh Hashanah is coming up. On the first night of Rosh Hashanah is known for something more than everything. Dipping the apple in the honey. Right? It's more famous than blowing of the shofar, I must tell you. And many Shana Tova cards and ads and pictures. It's always the apple and the honey. And I can almost bet that if you make a survey of young people, what they associate Rosh Hashanah more, they'll associate the apple and the honey more than even the shofar. We dip the apple in the honey and we say a special prayer. May it be your will, right? Mm-hmm. God, that you renew upon us, or for us, a good and sweet year, right? Everybody is doing it. Everybody knows it. Everybody dips the apple in the honey. But that's not the only thing we do. There is another thing we do, another few things we do. Then we eat a pomegranate on Rosh Hashanah. Why we eat a pomegranate on Rosh Hashanah? Because the pomegranate has many seeds. And we say to God a special prayer, as we see here in this paper, the second from the left, in the bottom. May it be your will that our merits increase as the seed of the pomegranates. Right? You say you should have a lot of mitzvahs. You should have many good deeds that we do in our life. You should find upon us that day of judgment. You should find upon us all the good things that we did. And then there is another custom. After we eat, after they dip the apple in the honey, and after we eat a piece of the pomegranate, and if you like it, you can eat even more. That we have a third thing. We take a head of a fish, or a head of a sheep, or a head of something. You can eat from it. If you don't like to eat from it, that's okay. And it's on the table, and you say, may it be your will that we be as a head, and not as a tail. What does this mean? We should be leaders and not followers.
Never heard of this custom.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This tree, the first one is very famous.
Lamb head sitting on your table?
No, can't say that I do.
This first one is very famous. The second one, you heard about the pomegranate?
Heard about the pomegranate, yeah.
The head of the fish is number 3 in the reign of Chabad is doing the bottom 3. That's our custom. There is other traditions, especially Sephardi traditions. They go on with a list as long as the night. Will go to the top, for example, the top 3. They eat bits. And what they say, may it be your will that our adversaries be removed. Why adversaries be removed? What it has to do with bits? You call it bits, right?
Mm-hmm. What evil inclination.
Because the Hebrew word for bits is silka, selek. And the word explains in the little parenthesis, in the little print, which resembles the word leistalek, meaning to remove. It's a play of word. Selek and leistalek is the same word that we say we will eat bits, and we'll ask from God, may all of our enemies be removed, get rid of them, disappear, basically. The real translation, disappear. May all our enemies disappear. Then we eat another type of thing. What is this?
Leeks or cabbage.
Cabbage. And we say, it's called in Aramaic, kreisha. That we say all our enemies should be destroyed. Because kreisha veikareitu, lichrot is the same, again, a play of word, almost the same word. Be cut off, that our enemies should be cut off. We eat something that has a name of the meaning cut off, and we say, may our enemies be cut off. And the same thing is about the last one, who is dates. Dates in Hebrew is called tmarim. Tmarim comes in the word tmarim, there is the word tamu, to end. That we say, He will lead Tmarim, and you, God, make sure that our adversaries, our enemies, should tamu, should disappear, should be consumed. And we have this bottom tree and this top tree.
Why is that the tradition for Rosh Hashanah as opposed to another holiday? I mean, we got Purim where that could be a great tradition.
Because Rosh Hashanah, that's clear. Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year. That's when the year being decided how the year is going to look like. That we're asking we should have a good year, a sweet year.
Okay.
And everything, that's a judgment day that we're asking from God that will be.
Judgment on our enemies. Okay.
So these are positive.
Oh, then somebody asked me this week, why Chabad is the bottom tree and not the top tree like everybody else does? The simple answer is, the bottom tree, it's not a play of word, it's the thing itself. The honey is sweet. You don't have to know Hebrew, you don't have to know English, you don't have to know any language. A baby loves honey. Give the baby honey, it doesn't need explanation. The pomegranate has seeds. It's not about names. You look at it and the message is in the fruit. The head of the fish is a head. No explanations needed, no names, no nothing. It's universal. It unites all the Jews, these three signs. Wherever you go, they do the three signs because it's about no words needed, no matter what language you speak.
Rabbi,
The other
excuse
three,
me.
go ahead.
Back to the fish. I don't remember where I was reading it. It said if you don't have a fish or anything like that, you could use the core of a cabbage.
The same idea. I never heard it, but it should be. Maybe it's because it's an egg or something.
Right.
Could be. With the other three, it's about names. The names, if you don't understand Hebrew, it means nothing to you. And actually, the Jewish law says, the Shulchan Aruch says, if you are in your own country and your own language, and you have a type of a fruit or a food that the name sends a message, something about for a new year, eat it and say, may it be your will, they should be the same way. That's a regular answer. That's a practical answer. That's a technical answer. But there must be a spiritual answer. The spiritual answer is something very interesting. The Talmud says a person should always speak clean language. What does this mean? We're not talking about somebody should not have a dirty mouth or something like this. But he should never speak anything negative. The Rabbi, for example, was a master of this. He never spoke negative. In the Rebbe's world, nobody died. They're not alive. Nobody is sick. They're not healthy. The place is not dirty. It's not clean. Negative words did not come out from his mouth. In Israel, how you call hospital in Israel? Beit Cholim. Beit Cholim literally means the house of the sick. The Rebbe made a campaign. Anybody who came from Israel who had some power in the medical community, the Rebbe told them, you're calling the hospitals the house of the sick? A person goes to the hospital, what is he thinking? The Rebbe said more than that. He didn't get sick in the hospital, he got sick at home. He's going to the hospital to be cured, right? He should be the house of the cure. In America, they call it medical centers. In Israel today, most of the hospitals call themselves medical centers. The word Bet Cholim is old news. It's not used anymore. And the Rebbe used to call it Beit Refuah, the house of cure. That's what the hospital is all about. And the Rebbe used to say, can you imagine the psychological effect on a person, on a young child? You take him to the house of the sick. What is he thinking? And it's not even true. There was a guy who built a hospital in Bnei Brak. He came to the Rebbe and he asked if the Rebbe should help him financially. The Rebbe gave him a check. He told him, write whatever you understand. He never said how much he wrote. The Rebbe told him, ask him you one thing. You should call the hospital not Bet Cholim but Beit Refuah. And he lived up to his promise and he called it Beit Refuah. The house of the cure. You know, there is many people call it this kind of work, outreach, right? You do outreach. What means outreach? In Hebrew, the word that they use is even worse. Kiruv rechokim, to bring closer those who are far. The Rebbe couldn't stand it. The Rebbe said, you decided who is far and who is close. You decide who is far. You decide who is further away from God and who is closer to God. Maybe the Jew saved a life is much closer to God than you that you put on film all your life. The Rabbi said, and beside, every Jew is close. What do you mean far? What do you mean reaching out? Share your knowledge, you offer. And it's based, and the Rabbi was, I can give you hundreds of examples, or even when he quoted a biblical verse, and it had a negative word in it, he called it out. He skipped it. He turned it around upside down in a positive way. Every expression that came out from his mouth was positive. Never negative came out from his mouth. It's based on the Talmud, then it's based on the Bible, obviously. There's a Talmudic story about two disciples were sitting in front of Hillel, famous Hillel, who said everything that you don't like people to do to you, don't do to others. Two disciples sitting, and they asked the same question. It was this talking about purity and impurity. Now in English, there is no name for impurity. It's impurity. There is pure and impure. In Hebrew, there is ta'or, is pure. And what's the word for impure? Tameh. There is a word for impurity. Both of them were asking, why in this case we make sure that only pure people deal with it, and in this case we don't mind if impure people deal with it too. But the way the two students asked this question, one person said pure and impure, the other person said pure and the word for the impure, tameh. That he looked on these two and he said to the guy who used only clean language, he says, I'm sure that you will be a leader to the Jewish people. And yes, behold, he became Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, one of the greatest Jewish leaders ever. And where Hillel saw it coming, this guy is choosing his word, only pure word. And it's based on the biblical verse. When the Torah speaks about Noah in the ark, then there were animals coming to the ark. Kosher animals, pure animals, and the Torah is using the word and impure animals. The Torah doesn't use tmea, behema tmea, but the Torah is using behema asher einena teora, that is not pure. Torah adds more word, just not to use the word tameh. In other cases, the Torah, whenever it comes to saying what's right and what's wrong, the Torah is using the word tameh, because when it comes to giving clear directions, you cannot play around with words. You have to be very clear and very decisive in what you say, very precise. But wherever it's a story, it's not about giving clear laws and giving clear directions. You should choose the better word and go around and around. Then that's the reason maybe why in Chabad we only do the bottom three on Rosh Hashanah, because as he said, we are concentrating on Rosh Hashanah, we're concentrating on positive. We should have a sweet ear. We should have many merits like the pomegranate, like the seed of the pomegranate. We should be leaders. Not our enemies should be destroyed, our enemies should disappear, our enemies. Leave the enemies alone. Rosh Hashanah is a time to be positive, to be clean. Not to be dealing with all this negativity, even if it's when it's deserving negativity and it's right, and you should, our enemies should disappear. We don't want to deal with it because it's not the time for it. Rosh Hashanah is not the time. Now this is connected to the parsha of this week, Nitzavim. This parsha is called Nitzavim, and it speaks about Moses makes a covenant with the Jewish people on the day of his death. And by the end of the parsha, Moses turns to the Jews and says, I give you life and I give you death. Death. Choose life. Choose life. Right? Ubacharta b'chaim. If you do the right thing, you live. If you do the wrong thing, live. Life and death is not necessarily also physically. We're talking about life connected to God and death disconnected from God. King Solomon, in his book of Ecclesiastes, says, life and death is in the control of the tongue. the tongue can make your life on that. There is a story in the Talmud, in the Medrash about that. The Persian king was once sick, and he needed, the doctors told him that milk of a lioness, that's a word? I learned a new word, this lioness, will be good for him, but go milk a lioness? That's a nice idea, but how you get it? That some Jew said to the king, if you give me 10 lambs, I'll bring you milk. They gave him 10 lambs. He went to a lioness den. She was nursing her babies. And he tore one lamb. She ate the lamb. He got a little closer. To a second lamb. He gets more and more friendly with the lioness. By the 10th lamb, he milked her and he brought the milk to the king. But he told the king, it's milk of a dog or milk of a cat. The king got very angry. He said, hang him. He was taking to be hanged. He says, give me another chance. I want to sell something to the king. He says, it's milk of a lioness. I just told you it's a cat. It's the same family. It's the same thing. They checked it out. I don't know how they checked it out, but they checked it out. Maybe by him drinking it, maybe by somebody else, I don't know. And they discovered that he was right, and he saved his life. Then the Medrash brings this example as your life and death is in your tongue, depends on your tongue. What you say, you can make yourself, you can have a life sentence or a death sentence, or you can cause other people life and death by your tongue. Then the Medrash continues in another place, with another story. Rabbi Yehuda the prince, the author of the Mishnah, once made a party. All his disciples, young men were sitting and he served tongue. Tongue is a good thing. Who doesn't like tongue? And the disciples were looking for the soft tongue. Not for that, it was hard pieces and there were soft pieces. Rabbi utilized the opportunity and he told them, you're looking for the soft tongue, right? Please, next time when you talk, choose the soft tongue, not the harsh tongue, the soft tongue. In today's world, it could be very useful to use the soft tongue. That's the lesson from Rosh Hashanah.